Hello and welcome to the A&P. I am Alex Johansson and my co-host Patrick McCallum. Patrick,
Hello, everyone. How are you getting on?
we're having logical discussions about the state of the world. Let's get into it, brother. Heyo, Patrick.
How are you getting on, buddy? So what have you for me today?
Well, I have Alexander Grace, and we talked about him before. From your perspective,
yes,
he
yes.
had a lot of the same message,
Yeah.
but I think it's not so much the same message as the same direction, right? He's coming at the same topic from different angles. So I'm bringing you his take today on DNA testing at birth for children to ensure
Right.
paternity. Apparently, we're having quite a huge issue with it. It's something that affected me personally in the past a couple of times, to the tune of probably, I don't know, I would say end of the day, $600,000-$700,000 over my lifetime. So
Wow.
it's a lot of money. Not just to attorneys and all that, but you have to go to court and then you're assessed, and then they use a thing called the decimaster in the United States, which figures out how much you have to, pay every month. And what happens is, because there's a lot of things that men do that can be legislated, right? So Mr. Johnny, the father, maybe the father, maybe not the father, but the one we've assessed to be the father is going to have to pay X amount of money because he works this much, but because he works this much, he can't see the child, right? So he's working 5 days a week.
Yeah.
He can only have the child 2 days a week, right? So because he has to work to pay, right? And it's not equal, right? So, right, and you can legislate that, right? You can legislate the time, right? But all the things that are recognized as feminine things to bring to a relationship, like intimacy and care and those kinds of things, right? Secure, safety, emotionally safe space for the fella to be in while they raise children together, right? All that stuff gets cracked apart. It just gets cracked apart, right? And then the male ends up paying and paying and paying and paying, and at the end of the day, might not be his child. So it is quite the issue. So how does Ireland treat with things like this?
Well, our family court systems roughly work the same way, but I have come across, a guy I know who had a DNA test after a couple of years. You just had that, that kind of gut feeling you get. And it took him a long, long time, once he even had the DNA test, going through courts, getting it reassessed because he wasn't the father. It was a whole process.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the United States, family law court is a court of equity and not a court of law. Well, so, and what that means is that either party can make wild accusations, right? But they're not going to be treated as if it's some violation under a penal code, right? It's just going to be taken down as more information in the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, Johnny did a bad thing because she said he did a bad thing, and now we investigate the bad thing, and we have an ex parte hearing, right? So if you have to get into court very, very soon in the United States, a term of art called ex parte, which means immediate, right? Ex parte hearing. You file for an ex parte hearing, you serve the opposing party the documents, and then they have to be in court the next day, right? So what's strange is that all these wild accusations are made mostly against men, and there isn't an ex parte hearing. There isn't a police report. There's none of the things that would show that the thing actually took place, right? It's just he said, she said, because they're attempting to gain control, and the children end up the losers in the situation because of statistically what kind of relationships this generates and how this tends to work out, right?
Yeah, the kids always lose in the end with a lot of these cases. People forget it when they're in the middle of a fight.
Oh, yeah.
They genuinely forget about the child, unfortunately.
Right. And then once you break the household, the kids get to school, and then they're dealing with a lot of other kids in broken households, and everybody's just trying to keep together, and these kids haven't had to negotiate anything because they're only hearing one voice all the time, and it's just not the best, So let Alexander Grace cook a little bit here, and we'll take this super amazing lead in, and we'll do some work with it. This is really good. Here we go now, bud.
What is this? a motherfucking DNA test. Why would you name our child Darius? It's not our child. It's not our child. No, it's not my son.
Yes, you've been raising him for 3 years.
You have been raising him, and you know that was somebody else's child.
All right.
There you go.
During a time that we had a break, it was one time.
One time.
All right, we were going through stuff, and that's it.
Oh, okay, one
So
time.
I didn't think anything.
You
of
just
it.
don't have to
You only
raise
did it
somebody
one
else's kid.
time.
So
One time.
I know some people ask me why I
So one time.
Wow.
One time. So
Yeah.
what you're saying is, you know what? I'm not responsible for the outcomes. No accountability because I only broke the rules a little bit in how social structure and relationships work. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I only got on my back that one time for that other fella. And then I
Yeah.
didn't have the responsibility to tell you, hey, I'm pregnant, but I failed you. Right? You might not be the father of the child. If you want to leave me, cool. I violated the covenant of our
Wow.
relationship. And I just want to give you the best tools to optimize your decision making. Do you want to be with me, who says something emotional, walks away, goes sleeps with another fella, and then wants to come back with you? Is that what you want? Would that be good with you? Right? I guess you can't. You can't say that, right?
No,
Right,
no,
if you want-
can't.
You can't say that. You can't say, "Hey, I'm super disrespectful and I sit on dicks." Right? I just like it, so I'm gonna go do it once in a while when I'm mad at you. I'm gonna go do that. Right? Like that's not how you're supposed to keep a relationship. That's not how you're supposed to show somebody you care. Right? Am I out of line here? Am I missing
No,
something?
you're right. It's I can't understand why people can't be honest. Because, like, as what happened there, it came out, and obviously your man is absolutely losing his mind, which I don't blame him.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the number one thing that you want in so ladies, pay attention. Loyalty, beauty, and exclusivity. Right?
Yeah.
That's what we want because we want to assure paternity of our children because we don't want to waste resources on someone else's seed. Right? We
Yeah.
don't want to do that. You might not think it's cool. You might not like it. You might think, pshaw. That's what we want. That's what we want. It's not a mystery. This isn't a mystery. You don't have to consult the stars or align your chakras or check your zodiac sign. Let me tell you, if you look under Gemini, it's going to say he's going to want someone who is loyal,
Yes.
someone who is good looking, and he wants to assure the paternity of his children. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, it's not rocket science.
Yeah. And then maybe treat people with respect and don't just run around the, neighborhood, sit on a carousel of dicks when you say you're in a relationship with whatever fella you're with and then lie about it. Because that's not cool. So, all right. Let's get back to Mr. Grace.
talk about mandatory paternity testing at birth so often. Say like, isn't it a fringe issue? Like,
Ding, 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 ding. It's the winner.
Yeah.
That would assure it every time. And then nobody could lie about it. We would know who daddy was literally every time. And the science is out there to do it. Right? 23andMe, all those things you send off.
Yeah.
So somebody's got all of your DNA information, but you don't want to do it for babies to ensure their resources are appropriately allocated by the people who made those babies. If you're going to involve the government correctly.
Yeah. I think it should be mandatory. I've always been honest with you. I think it should be. Anytime you're going for a maintenance order, there should be an automatic DNA test.
It's just another test at the hospital, bro. And the funny thing is all of a sudden that test gets real wonky when it doesn't give the results that are wanted, right? People are like, oh, I don't know if it works. Oh, no, it works. It for sure works. And that would bring all the accountability straight to roost. You could not fuck around because everyone would find out. But the thing is, there's also no shame in society right now, right? If little Missy wants to roll around and, take it from left, right, and center, she could take it from left, right, and center, right? But she's not going to, if everybody knows and it's on, Front Street every time, like, oh, little Missy was nasty. Look what she done did. She done made 3 or 4 babies with 3 or 4 different fellas. But now nobody cares. Nobody cares. Because it's become acceptable. The Overton window has been pushed out so far that acceptable societal action doesn't even really apply anymore. You and I are saying things like, Well, I don't know, Patrick. And you're like, oh, I don't know, Alex. The problem is that it has all become acceptable behavior. Whatever you think the truth is, and you can do whatever the hell you want, right? And that's not particularly acceptable when you want to have a civilized society. You know what we should do? We should let people do whatever they want, whenever they want, wherever they want. We'll just let all the other people into our country and people that don't want to assimilate, and then we'll just let them do whatever they want and let them steal our culture. And like, you see where this goes? Like, once you start down the path, right? It's a bad path, right? So
it is.
Here we go.
Like, why do you keep going on about it? It's not that important. My perspective is that you could only feel that way if you didn't have all of the facts. I talk about it because it is important. And for me, it's the topic that killed my naivety. It's where I went from, oh, there might be some sexism against men that we didn't realize, to this is being done on purpose.
It is being done on purpose, and it's a financial thing, and we talked about it earlier today, and he'll get into it. So functionally, it's a money issue, and you'll see why. Here we go.
Men are victims in this culture, and we exist in a system that has been set up to discriminate against men. The two co-conspirators that have...
It's because the things that they can do, you can legislate it, and then you can regulate it in court. You can say a man has to do a thing because they're the big, strong infrastructure creating providers, right? And you can just keep putting this up on their back over and over and over again, and they're doing that.
Yeah, especially for the poor young man, or ends up as they say, paying for somebody else's.
Right. Well, you know, if it's his resource and it's his child, he would be proud to pay. But that you don't know, find out. Find out. Before child support or child maintenance or whatever G20 you're in says, hey, fella, you got to pay for that baby. You should be like, no. Not till you test it. And they're like, none of that should move forward in any of these countries, right? Because if we want to allocate the resources correctly, it should be you're the father, you're the mother, work it out. It shouldn't be you're the father, you're the mother, and you're the bro we're going to make pay for some shit. Like that shouldn't even, there shouldn't be a third option, right? It shouldn't be she sat on a carousel of dicks and just picked one who was the best of the ones, right? Right? Well, that guy's pretty beta, so I'm going to make him pay, but I'm going to go sit on Chad or Tyrone's dick. That's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go sit on some exciting, fun dick. I'm going to take that. And then I'm going to make fucking Mikey over there pay for my baby because he's got a good job and he's in the trades. You know what I'm saying? No. Not cool. Not cool. Right? So.
That benefit from that discrimination. Women and the government. For me, this is one of the issues I care the most about because it reveals so much. And if you want to believe that it's just a small issue, that it's negligible and it's safe to ignore it, I think that's foolish and even dangerous. Let me explain first that this affects so many more people than you realize. When they have conducted research as to how many paternity...
Look at that.
Yeah. Wow.
48% in the UK. 52% were tested the father. That's 5,000 tests selected randomly from 2014 to 2016. It didn't get better. I assure you it didn't get better.
Tests come back showing that the person who has been told they are the father is not the father. They tend to find that the man has been a victim of paternity fraud about half of the time.
It's called spurgling now, which is really funny because it's sperm burglary. Yeah, it's sperm burglary. It's pretty bad. It sounds like a really, really bad thing, but when you think about it, it's even worse than that. Because the outcomes of spurgling are that you will get your resources like just elicited, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? It's gone. Right? The court has made a determination, and you will pay, right?
Wow.
Yeah, it's all bad. It's all bad.
Some studies have it as high as 58%. Now, research like this does not reflect the general population because the data has been skewed.
So we'll make sure we put this this study in the notes for the show, and we'll go ahead and put it in. If we can't get it into the description, we'll go ahead and put it into first comment to make sure that it's there so you guys can check it. This is real. This is legit, and this is part of the breakdown of societal structure. You know, when we talk about, we're talking about G7 countries and, hey, let's get into it, brother, right? So
Yeah.
this is one of the pillars of that problem. This is one of the things we talk about when we say there is a fucking giant issue. There's a bad fucking thing happening. And this is one of the legs that hold this table of horrificness up. It is not good at all, bud.
Yeah.
Because you're not likely to ask for a paternity test unless you suspect that you have been lied to. So perhaps the more interesting question to ask is, of the general population, how many instances of paternity fraud are there? Just how widespread is this in society? In 2005, they did a meta-analysis of all of the studies that had been conducted to answer this question. And when placing it all together, they came up with a median figure of 3.7%, saying that 3.7 people out of 100 have been lied to about who their father was. More recent studies don't disprove that figure, but they also...
So, yeah, so it's 3.7, and you know 100 people, like that's roughly 4 people you know who have a family tree that is busted, right? As you walk around in your day, you're going to see 100 people. 4 of them are going to have some kind of weird, awkwardly misaligned, resource spent incorrectly kind of situation. But if you take it at that number and extrapolate, that's aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, cousins, grandparents, like everybody has been lied to by the situation. The person who made the child knows what the truth is, or knows how to get to the truth, but chose not to do it, right? That's irresponsible, and it shows a complete lack of accountability. Lack of accountability, right? That's targeted, and that is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable, right?
It is. It's absolutely crazy situations.
Right.
And it's very hurtful situations all around as well, when eventually it does come out into the light of day, as they say.
I think some dudes at this point are just like, nah, he looks enough like me or his mama, I'm cool. Like, I just don't want to fight it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'd rather keep whatever relationship I have with this person because it will cost me less in the end. Because when you stop at those relationships, sometimes there's some very vindictive things that happen, right? I don't know if you've been through a divorce. They suck. They suck.
Oh, yeah.
You know, for a part of my life, every 10 years, I just gave half of my stuff to another woman, and finally got tired of it. I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'm not going to get on that carousel again and get
you got that merry-go-round.
Yeah, well, I got a nice spot. I'm pretty happy. I got this car that I drive. You know, pretty cool with that. You know, play some sports, hang out, do a little jujitsu, whatever. You know, like I got a life now. You know. Do some work here and there, but whatever. I just don't want to give half my stuff away anymore. I want to keep my things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much work your partner did, they just get half of it. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's not an equality thing.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's not equality. If I work X amount of time and X amount of hours and get X amount of things, right? And things are supposed to be equal in society now, but you didn't do anything to get those things. Why are you getting half of my things? You didn't put forth the effort to earn the physical things. It's very strange. That's what he said. Like, the system is targeted, right? Men are the victims here, and that is a fact, right?
Yeah.
So
estimate that it might be a bit high. I personally think that there are a lot of vested interests that are trying to downplay how widespread of an issue this is, and I really wanted a solid figure, and I kept pushing and pushing with my research, and I couldn't find something exact, but there were very few studies that were lower than 2%. So for the purpose of this discussion, let's be really conservative. Let's just say it affects 2% of the population. And so you think, okay, that's no big deal. Like 2% is still pretty small, right? Well, no, think of it like this. 2% of the population of the United States is 6.6 million. And again,
do you think you're not going to see someone that is 6.6 million people in the United States?
Yeah.
You're going to see these people every day. And it's not like they're going to have a big scarlet letter like Nathaniel Hawthorne, right? It's not like they're going to have that. They're just going to be people like every other people. But the thing is that it's so insidious. It is so bad, right?
And even legally, it's a nightmare as well, even when it does come out.
Right. Well, and here's the deal. If you just did the DNA test at birth, wouldn't be an issue, right? Now, the other issue you run to with this is that when a couple is married, they're considered a single entity under the law, right? So if you're married to a woman and then she gives birth, regardless of who the biological father is, the state indicates or specifically says that the husband in the relationship is the responsible individual for that child, regardless of paternity, right? So if they just did paternity tests every time,
I think it should be mandatory anyway. I've always said that.
but it seems reasonable, right? Why would you not want the biological father of the child to be the one who is responsible for the child with the mother, right?
Yeah.
And there's other issues with that, and that has to do with a child. The mother has control of whether the child is born at all, and the father has no say. So the father can say, I want the child to be born. And the mother can say, the child will not be born. But if the child is born, you will then be responsible, even if you don't want to be, right?
Yeah.
So that's another slippery slope, right? Anyway, all right, let's let Mr. Grace get back to work. Here we go.
And remember that this is a conservative figure, but that estimation puts 6.6 million people who have been lied to about who their father is.
That's a massive number. Even at that conservative 2%, that's wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
6.6 million people is huge. That's bigger than the population of the country of Denmark. But wait, because it gets even worse, because that 6.6 million, that's not
Ireland as well.
just victimizing those children. What about the men who have been lied to and told that the child is theirs when it's not? Those men are absolutely victims of paternity fraud too. So we need to double the figure. It's not 6.6 million. It's now like 13 million. And what about that man's parents? You know, the grandparents who've been falsely led to believe that this child...
Well, even on the woman's side, her parents, her grandparents, right?
Yeah. It's a massive knock-on effect across the entire family tree.
Right. But
Wow.
then that includes pretty much anyone where this happens, right? There's a radius of between 5 and 25 people that this affects every time it happens, which means that when you look around, it's not just the fella that got lied to or the female that did the lying, right? Which is that, 6.6 million in the United States. That becomes a massive, massive amount of people, right?
Yeah, it does. It's crazy. The figures are unbelievable, actually.
Yeah,
Take it
it's
that way.
exponential.
Wow.
It is exponential. So here we go.
is their genetic line. Think of the time that they spend on them, the inheritance that will come their way, and the aunts and the uncles and the cousins. It's all based on a lie. All of those people are victims as well. And all of that, and we haven't even spoken about the biological father, the man whose child it actually is, but he's never told that, and he misses out on all those years, all of that relationship. And then that man's parents missing out on a grandchild and their extended family. Whatever figure we came up with before, we need to double it to account for all of those victims. In the United States alone, we are talking about tens of millions of people who are genuine victims of paternity fraud. And when we talk about this on a global, worldwide scale, it's even more alarming. And you would think with a scandal this big affecting this many people's lives that we would be hearing about this constantly. And yet
We should be like this is a huge big thing. Again, one of the pillars of society, right?
Yeah.
Appropriate social interaction. Knowing who the father of the child is a linchpin to making sure that we have a positive, good functioning, and well-run society. It is absolutely essential. And once that breaks down, it's reprehensible, honestly. So
Yeah.
this silence. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why? Why is it that you hear nothing about this? The reason is because women and the government have teamed up to keep this quiet. If the scale of this issue truly comes to light, then both of those groups have so much to lose.
A lot of women are against it, to no surprise whatsoever. A lot of them are saying that they would divorce their husband immediately if he asked them for a paternity test.
Women threatening to divorce their husbands if they want to get a paternity test. There's a lot of emotional blackmail going on to make.
statistically, the odds are what we'll just say 1 in 10.
1 in 10,
even if it's 1 in 20, right? Just across just regular folks, not those that are going in for contentious, right? So when it's contested, right? When a fella's like, man, she came at me kind of weird. I got a weird vibe on this, right? I better check this out, right? Like if there's a weird vibe or they just, want to make sure because it was kind of a one-night stand.
Trust your gut.
Oh, yeah. Well, trust but verify. How about trust but verify? I trust you, baby. How about I verify it, though? You know what I'm saying? Just in case something weird happened and there was some sneaky fucker got in there, on Thursday when I was around on Tuesday and Friday, So, but when that's happening, it's 30 to 50%, right? But just mean across the board, even that 3.5% means you should probably check. You should probably check, right? And then if they threaten divorce, then good. That's good, right? If you want your husband, right, to be like, yeah, baby, you want a DNA test? For sure, 100%. I want you to be comfortable. I want you to know that this child is your child. And if that's what you need to do, then that's what we need to do, right? For some woman to say, I would divorce you if you said that I did a thing that I did. Just take the test. Just take the test.
Yeah.
Take the test. You're grown. You're equal. You're equal in society. Take the test. Right? And if there's no harm, no foul, and you weren't out there sitting on dicks, be cool. Right?
Yeah.
You're calling my character into question. That's because 1 in 20 y'all have a character to question. At least. There are not enough scarlet A's to roll around, says Nathaniel Hawthorne, right? All right, here we go.
Make sure that men keep quiet. And you might get some women who will say, well, of course I need to divorce him. How dare he imply I was unfaithful? This is so unfair on me as a woman. Even for a topic as important to men as this, you can find some women have this uncanny ability to make it about themselves. Let me be very clear. Paternity fraud is not a woman's issue. This is an issue for men. From a biological perspective, there is no bigger sucker than the man who raises another man's child. This goes so much beyond just getting cheated. It is existential humiliation. This man has been lied to. He has been defrauded and manipulated emotionally in an unforgivable.
Men absolutely despise being humiliated. Despise it. Ladies, if you want to know.
No worse humiliation.
Yeah.
This is the worst humiliation.
Yeah, that is the worst. So, ladies, if you're confused, okay, and you're like, well, I don't think that's the way it is. It is the fucking way that it is. That is how it is. That is how they feel. All of them. Even the ones with the buns. Right? Even those ones, right? Even your beta and your sigma and whatever other Greek letter that isn't alpha male tells you, right? When they tell you that, if they're like, oh, no, it's okay, honey, you can do it. No, I don't want to raise another man's seed unless I'm given the opportunity. Hey, this is a child that is in need. Can you foster the child? Give me all of the options up front. Let me know so I don't get humiliated. Hey there, Alex. Looks like you're raising that other fella's kid. Oh, like Katie Kaboom, baby. Like lose my and anybody. That is the height of humiliation.
Yes.
Right. It's Oh my God. Ooh. Let me take a moment here. That pisses me off so bad. I'm like, ah! So right, let's let this fella cook. Here we go.
Unforgivably evil manner. And you might think that women who occasionally have that heart-wrenching experience of an administrative mistake at a hospital and being sent home with a baby that's not theirs, knowing how difficult that would be to deal with, you might imagine that women could have some empathy for men in this situation. To sit and contemplate how it might actually feel to be a man, to raise a child, to love them, to give them your time, energy, and resources, all based on a lie. Could that not be a window for compassion and empathy for how serious this is for men? When women make this issue about themselves,
it is serious.
Yeah, it is.
This is not hyperbole. This is serious. Again, it is the structure of our society that comes into question when you do this, right? The misallocation of resources and emotion and care. It is very, very important if you're not picking that up, right?
Yeah.
I cannot even express how disappointing that is as a response. No understanding for the male fear, no compassion for his suffering, just instantly make it about themselves. How dare you not trust me? I am a woman, I am perfect, and how dare you suggest anything less?
There's a possibility that some of them are not always the most honest, statistically. It has to be that way. So
the science kind of backs it up, really.
Right. This and statistics, like specifically, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics, right? But in this instance, if it's even 1%, the knock-on effect, like you're talking about, will affect tens of millions of people, right? That is horrible. With 8 billion people on the planet, you should probably not be doing that. Anyway, let's see what this nice lady has to say.
Me go through a paternity test to prove that it is his. You know what I'm doing after that? I'm thinking about who am I hiring as a divorce attorney, because I'm not staying with that man.
Ladies, I know.
Wow.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
She looks like she's a couple days past breeding anyway. So is she just giving bad information to women? Is that what that is with those eyebrows?
I think so. That's what it sounds like.
Well, she looks terminally surprised. And it looks like she's had a little work done in her face, and it looks like she went to go to her hair did and all that stuff. So how about you stop being fake and realize that this is actually a problem in society? How about just take the test? Just take the test. If you actually have an emotional investment in the man you're with, and he says, hey, let's do this, your response should be, hell yeah, let's go do this. I want you to know that I'm loyal to you. I want you to know that this is your child. I want both of our resources to raise this child in the best way possible, to give them the best chance to have a happy, functioning life, right? To be a productive member of society and a happy human besides. But those are not the outcomes we're getting with this. These are not the outcomes we're getting with this at all. So
that this is a radical thought, but did you ever consider that this issue is not about you? There was a study done in Spain where they found that 25% of women would threaten divorce if their man asked for a DNA test. And I remind you that for men who want to get a paternity test, 50% of the time they find out that they have been lied to. If a man is asking for a paternity test, there's probably a good reason, but there's no compassion or empathy forthcoming.
Well, and it's not flip a coin. I get that he says 50%, but it's not flip a coin. We're not flipping a coin. These are human lives. These are conscious beings that we are creating, right? Now, and understand that in a lot of these cases, it doesn't get to this point because the prospective mother of the child doesn't allow the cake to be cooked all the way, right? They take the cake out of the oven prematurely, right? Which means that, right, you don't even know. Like, they go do the thing, right? And nobody's the wiser, right? Except for the person that did it, So, like, and if that's part of the problem, right, or part of the equation, right? Now, the numbers could be insanely high if they let the cake cook all the way, right? So.
It's just guilt and threats, like I'm going to divorce you. Just keep on upping the emotional ante to keep you quiet. Stop asking this question, to just drop it. And I understand that it would be an awkward conversation to say, I think I would like to get a DNA test on our child. But that's just another reason why we need mandatory paternity testing to be done at birth. Hospitals already perform a number of routine tests. There is no harm adding paternity to that list. Knowing without a shadow of a doubt who the paternal father is benefits everybody. Well, almost everybody. The only real victims would be the lying women. But my question is, who would want to protect them?
There have been efforts recently to have paternity testing be linked to child support. There is a universal fight against it on the part of feminists.
Of course there is.
Who could object to this? On what possible basis of fairness and justice could you have a problem?
So the problem comes where if you find out that the fella that you're with, you have the baby, right? And you're not the father. I know what I would do. I would walk. I'd be like, nope, I'm out. I would go get my things, move them out of wherever if we're living together, right? I would be gone immediately. Like, no question. no question. Go get my things, and I am gone. See ya. Right?
Yeah.
And then
Most of the guys will be gone to the door in about 2 seconds.
Right. But the fellow who was out there just swanning around getting his dick sat on, like, that dude's not going to move in with her and start supporting her because she's disloyal. And she was, even though she was disloyal with that guy, you know what I'm saying? She is showing that her character is such that she can't be trusted, right? But now in society, there's a complete lack of accountability for those actions and activities.
Yeah.
And in fact,
there's no shame anymore.
Right. There is no shame in society. But the thing is if these paternity tests, if every child born in a G20 country, there was a paternity test on, this would stop. This would stop. And then we could appropriately allocate resources to make sure that children were taken care of by their parents. Right?
Yeah.
It just, you know, and a lot of it has to do with hypergamy and the kinds of decisions that are made, right? Women don't want to have a child with a man they don't want to have a child with. They just don't. And they're going to ensure that they do that in a lot of ways. And I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence. You know the fucking ways. You know the ways, right? But once it comes to the light that you have been disloyal and the the hospital says, hey, Patrick, you're not the father of the child. Hey, Alex, you're not the father of the child. Awesome. Let me go ahead and get all my things, pack them in the Peugeot. I'm driving to the next town over. I'm starting over. I'm done. Right? Because the humiliation is so bad. It is so bad. If it was me, I would just leave. I would literally leave the city, county, or state in which I reside, and I would go somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And it is that bad. And I don't think people understand that it is that bad, right?
Yeah.
They're just not grasping it.
They seem to underestimate the emotional damage. Yeah. Wow.
Well, and that has to do with hierarchical thinking versus groupthink, right? So when that is the thing that's happening, everybody is good, everybody is awesome, we're all going to do this together, right? You don't get good producers in that kind of space, right? And it's really, it's very, very difficult. So again, I would be so humiliated if it got to the point and she didn't tell me and there wasn't a DNA test until that point and I found out, I would be gone. Yeah. I'm packing my stuff in the Subaru, the Buick, the Chevy, the Opel, whatever. I'm out.
Yeah.
Now. Time now. See ya. There's not going to be anybody home when you get back from the hospital with that baby because you are not doing that to me at all. So.
With that, how is it that feminists don't care about men who have been victims of paternity fraud? On the one hand, you have an individual who cheats on her partner and who lies about it. And on the other hand, you have a man who is the victim of that behavior and then is financially on the hook on the basis of her lies. And you're telling me that feminists are siding with this individual? Why? How can you justify that? Modern feminism is just a bloated caricature of what it once was. Any veneer of egalitarianism or justice seems to have just been dropped. Let's call a spade a spade.
So functionally in a court of law, that would be perjury, right?
Yes.
And you can be held accountable for perjury, right? Now, again, there are some instances in family law court, because it is a court of equity and not a court of law, where they let things slide, right? That's why in a family law court, they can say wild stuff. You know, so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that. And it's all this emotional content stuff. And a lot of it, not true. It's just not true. They're just trying to gain control and get money and elicit more resources, right? So it is absolutely unacceptable. Except that they can, by omission, get resources from the wrong person, right? It is.
The sad thing is there's no real legal recourse, even when the truth does come out.
Yeah, well, because they don't go after the woman for having lied.
No,
they don't. And in fact, the fella has to do 10 times the work to try and get that off his plate. And then on top of that, if he's the husband to the woman who has been unfaithful and had a child out of the bond of marriage, then he's still responsible, right?
Yeah.
That is insane, right? So if you want equality and you really, really want that, then take charge. And if a fella says, hey, let's get a DNA test, right?
Yeah.
If they just did
That's all they want.
yeah, just give me a DNA test. And if you trust your man and you love your man, just do it. Just do it.
And it should be a legal requirement. He's right. It should be a legal requirement.
Yeah. Well, when you said in Ireland for a maintenance, go ahead.
Yeah, in the UK, if you're going for a maintenance order, the court always asks for a DNA test, just to balance things out.
Right.
In Ireland, you can ask for a DNA test as well.
That's awesome.
And most courts, are pretty reasonable. They will, you know what I mean? They will go along with it.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
If the lady, even if the woman objects, the court then will turn around and say, "Why are you objecting?"
Yeah. Why would you object?
Yeah.
Right. That's reasonable. Why would you object? Well, because I said, we're not calling your character into question. We're ensuring the paternity of the child. Right. The problem is the outcome is still, if she acted outside of what is appropriate behavior by lying to the fella, right, then she's going to be held accountable for it. The person she said is the father is not the father, regardless of what his job or function is. And those resources will not be allocated to her. They will become unavailable. And she'll have to go after Chad or Tyrone or whoever it was, Dick she sat on to get the baby in the first place. Right. Yeah.
There was an immaculate conception.
Right. Her name was not Mary Magdalene. Got it. Here we go.
It's openly a female supremacist movement. The reason why they don't care about men who are victims of paternity fraud is just because they are men. Apparently, it is a woman's right to just arbitrarily decide who the father is and then lie about the biological reality. You see lifestyle articles like this that talk about sperm burgling, like it's a lifestyle choice or like a fun, quirky life hack. In so many Western
yeah, that is unacceptable behavior. Like that is horrific. That word is hilarious.
There should be a legal cost if a person's phone.
Oh, for sure.
There should be.
Right.
In the story.
The word's pretty funny. A spurgler, like sperm burgling. That's that's super clever, but super horrific. The outcome of that is super horrific. So
jurisdictions, not only is it not a crime to fraudulently take a man's sperm without his consent by lying about birth control, but on top of this theft and fraud, that man is also on the hook financially for child support.
Ooh, you know what my friend Patrick McCallum told me? Yeah, that's you. You said, put a Johnny on it. Put a Johnny on it.
I remember saying that.
Well, the problem is if she got a hold of that condom before you got there, she could have pinholed it, and the next thing you know, old dad's a millionaire.
I've heard that.
So,
gentlemen,
gentlemen, make sure that you are the one who purchases the Johnny. Make sure that when you crack that bad boy open, you make a balloon out of it, and make sure it doesn't have any perforations.
And most G7 countries, they're free. They're completely free.
For sure. 100% free.
It's plenty. On both sides, by the way. Plenty of birth control out there.
Yeah.
No excuse.
No, not at all. So make sure you make the balloon out of it, and make sure that there's no perforations in that Johnny, and then have fun. Enjoy yourself. Do what grown folks do and like doing. Right, but make sure that you check the integrity of Johnny before you get to work there. You know what I'm saying? Before you put your back into it, and do the work of the Lord in the field, if you will. Right?
Yes.
All right, let's get on.
Child that he never even consented to create. She lies, and yet he is the one who is punished. And sometimes it's not even just one man.
One child, 3 men. Each paying child support in 3 separate states, New Jersey, Minnesota, and Maryland. What? She was getting $3,200 a month in total from them for over 6 years. Not 1, not 2, but 3 men investing emotionally and financially in a child they were told was theirs. This isn't just fraud. This is diabolical.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Wow.
that is a fact. That is absolutely a fact.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, it's horrible. So, all right, audience, check it out. Chat, whatever you want to refer to yourself as, the A&Pers. This is going to be arc 1 of 2 arcs. So for Patrick McCallum, I am Alex Johansson. Go ahead and ring the bell, like, subscribe, help us beat the algorithm, and we are out.